everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and night. You are now listening to GregTalkz. My name is Greg. I am currently 19 years old, and I attend community college. So, the first thing that I wanted to talk about today was learning how to take constructive criticism. Now, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I currently myself tend to have a difficult time with it because, for one, I create a lot of art, not just including this podcast, but I had YouTube videos in the past, as well as sketches of drawings of characters that I have. And the worst thing to hear is when something you create is not liked by a certain person. And I know from personal experience that it really gets up under my skin, which is what leads me into talking about constructive criticism. So, constructive criticism is described as the process of offering valid and well reasoned opinions about the work of others, usually involving both positive and negative comments in a friendly manner rather than a oppositional one. So essentially, what that means is that it's criticism that's not meant to negatively judge a work of another person, but it's basically meant to give you some advice on how to better the work in some sense, or um, certain pitfalls of your work that you should pay attention to in order to make the work more cohesive. So, for example, if you're drawing, let's say, a model of a human head, and somebody, starts looking at it and they find the eyes are a bit off, or the mouth structurally is not correct. Essentially, they're giving you constructive criticism because they're not just saying those things just to say them. They're saying them because they want you to look at them and correct them and make them better. So, there's one example. Another example is YouTube. Now, I know all of you have seen the YouTube comments, and of course, you know how many haters can lie in those. But not all those comments are hate comments. It's just a lot of people are afraid to look at them because majority of comments on YouTube videos tend to be hate comments. But, let's just say a person comments on a video about, let's say, Kanye West's sophomore album, his sophomore album, Late Registration. And they say, well, the video editing was a bit choppy at certain points, and the audio kind of lacked towards the 30-second mark of your video, and then that's it. And then you look at that video, and then you read the comment, and you see that that person left that, and the first reaction is, well, I can't believe that person felt the need to nitpick just those two little things. And now you're going to probably respond to that person with a more negative comment than what you should respond with. But how you should react to that comment is you should say, thank you for letting me know about those things. And next time I make a video, I will, make sure that I pay more attention to those aspects of what I'm creating, because I want to make a positive viewing experience for you guys. So that's how you should respond. And the reason I just bring that up is because I feel like a lot of people, especially on social media, because you rope YouTube into social media at this point, is I think a lot of people are so quick to get angry. And I don't think it's because people have short attention spans. I think it's because people just don't like to take criticism, whether it be negative or positive. And really, to me, there's no such thing as negative criticism, because criticism, or I guess constructive feedback, to me, is not criticism. That's just something that you need to take into account, and you need to use that to better what you're creating. Because if you don't, all you're doing is hurting yourself, and you're making the content that you create worse. An example of this that somebody told me about my podcast was that I say and okay too much. And, I took that, and, in my later episodes, including this one that I'm currently talking to you through, I stopped saying and okay because I realized that was getting a little annoying for the viewer and it showed a little less confidence. So that's what I did to correct it. And that's an example of using constructive feedback in a positive manner to better what I'm making. So that's just really all I had to say on that topic, though. I just really wanted to kind of lay the foreground as to, why people sometimes can't better their content. And it's mainly because, they need to learn how to take constructive feedback. And that way they can just make a better viewing experience for themselves and for the viewer and other people that are going to look at their content for years to come. Now, the next topic I wanted to get into is why we still need media that pushes the envelope. Now, this is a very broad topic, as there are many movies and many different cartoons and media that come out from year to year, but I have seen mostly on TV as well as cartoons and in movies that a lot of things, there isn't a lot of boundary pushing stuff. Well, at least I'm not seeing it as much. Um and that's one of the reasons why, like, I literally try to pine for new music and new cartoons and new movies, because lately what's given to the mainstream is a lot of bland regurgitated storylines, regurgitated character quirks, as well as the world building being very minimal and not really having a lot of effort put into it. um I kind of wish a lot of media would kind of like take a lot of cues from the stuff that came out in the 90s. Things like, Samurai Jack, Avatar, well, early 90s and 2000s. Avatar Last Airbender, Boondocks, Rocco's Modern Life, Hey Arnold, Jimmy Neutron, Fairly Odd Parents, early Fairly Odd Parents, and SpongeBob. I mean, if you take a look at those cartoons, like, what did they all have in common? Well, they all had, some of which had wacky humor, some had like adult content in it, though, but a lot of the worlds were very imaginative, and it added a different element or a different kind of spin to like the typical kind of, you know, uh, imaginative world. You got shows like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends that, literally was a world created out of somebody's mind about kids imagining up characters from their minds. That was really creative. And you have Billy and Mandy, where it was like, kind of a different take on the Reaper from the underworld, and how, he could be befriended. That was a different kind of thing. And then you also have like Ben 10, which was kind of a different take on the superhero trope, where you had like a boy. Well, it's not to say that a boy getting powers was anything new, but like a boy being able to turn into 10 different aliens was kind of interesting, because I don't really know. I mean, besides the superheroes, I can shapeshift, though. That was a new, um, kind of original concept for a superhero show. And you had shows like Generator Rex, Iron Man Armored Adventures, which was, what if Iron Man was a teenager and he found out how to make a suit? Uh, that's kind of interesting. I just kind of want more stuff like that, because what that does is, it inspires young people that are watching the shows to go out and create things that are better, sometimes even more imaginative than what they saw, because the best things come out from imagination and creativity. It just takes a little bit of like inspiration and motivation from those that came before to spark that flame to make something new and innovative to push the next generation to make more things like it, you know. And that kind of leads me into my third topic, which is about the stages of leadership. So, every leader, or every potential leader, the first stage, you start out as a fan. You start out as somebody that looks at material and you get inspired. You go to shows to see said person, you go to things related to the things that you like, you're a fan at that point. And then as you start to get older and start to have more resources to make your own things, you start making your own stuff. And hence, you become a leader, but you become, where I like to go, you're not a full leader yet. You're kind of you're a pre-leader, I guess I should say, where like you're creating your own things, but your things aren't really touching the masses in a way that's becoming inspiring. So then you change from a pre-leader to a trailblazer. And a trailblazer is somebody that literally starts to lead the pack, or you start to inspire the pack to new heights, and you literally start to revolutionize the thing that you're doing for other people coming behind you. And then the next stage after becoming a trailblazer is to become a martyr. Now, I don't mean martyr like in the Christ-like sense where you like have to die for the people that are about to become leaders after you. I mean, like, you must continue to sacrifice the things that you want to do for your passion in order to set a good example for those coming before you. So it's not so much about like literally dying, it's more so just about sacrificing the wants and thinking about the needs of the many and what your art is going to do for other people. That's what the final element of leadership is. And all the great leaders were martyrs, are martyrs still. Um, you could use pretty much the example of somebody like, this is not really a good example, but a guy that a lot of people consider, um, a top tier martyr, top tier leader is Kanye West. Um, I know not a lot of people like him though, but Kanye West followed these 4 stages of leadership. Technically, I don't feel like he's, well, no, I think Kanye West has fully become a martyr at this point, but essentially he started off as like a fan of Jay-Z and Tupac, Biggie, as well as Nas when he was coming up, and he basically took what they did, and when he got money and when he got resources, he started to make his own beats, and then he went from becoming a producer to saying, you know what, I'm gonna rap. So then he started to rap over the beats he produced, and then his stuff started to really take off. And then later on, he turned into a trailblazer because then he took what he was making and started to revolutionize it, therefore leading a pathway for the new generation rappers. And nowadays, he's a martyr because he's had to sacrifice a lot to continue doing what he does. So that's one example of a person that's kind of gone through the different stages of leadership. I myself right now am still kind of on the second stage, which is pre-leader, because right now, like, I have resources to make my own content. However, I don't feel like I'm revolutionizing my content for the people behind me yet. So I'm not henceforth at the third gear or the third stage of development for leaders yet. But I'm slowly kind of inching my way there, though. And as I continue to find my own voice in the things that I create, I feel like I will start to take steps towards where I need to be to become a trailblazer, and then later on to become a definitive leader as a martyr. And yeah, that's really all I had to say today. I hope you guys are having a good Thursday or a good afternoon wherever you are. Now, I did tell you guys during the last podcast that I would not be talking about in-game at least for another week. I'm going to give it at least one more week before I give like my in-depth analysis on the things that I liked about the film as well as my nitpicks about the film. Those of you on Instagram saw that I did make a post kind of giving you my blunt feelings right after seeing the film. But now that things have kind of started to settle down a bit, though, I'm going to start writing a cohesive kind of review on things that I thought were great and some things that I didn't think were so great. So next week, be prepared for that. I will not be giving a spoiler warning, as I have already done that for you right now. So yeah. Once again, if you're wondering where you can find this podcast, you can find it on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes under the name GregTalkz. It's Greg, Talkz. And this episode will be posted to YouTube this Saturday at 9 a.m. So, all you YouTubers out there, stay tuned for that. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will be back next week with Avengers in-game in-depth analysis. See ya.